It's a baby in the family.
The baby.
She's paying her rent.
She is paying her rent. I love it. All right, let me go down here.
Do you have something you want to say?
She's like, put me down or I'll scratch your face.
Sorry. I think she's shedding.
Oh, God, yeah. They all are. Summer coat going away. Oh, God. There's so much fur in my face.
Ugh.
I like putting the TV on that for the holidays.
Aww.
Disney holiday ambiance. Hello, the one.
Hi.
Who is that?
I see a J. I saw a J. That's all I saw.
Did you really?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Couldn't catch your name.
It shows us. We have this issue every single freaking time.
You know what? You searched it, didn't you? Did you? You know what you should do? You know what I'm going to tell you?
Yeah, but last time I didn't really have to search it.
Yeah, that's because you searched it. You're not searching. You're not typing in the name.
He's being so mean.
I'm not being mean. I am telling you what works.
I don't think that's it. That's not ours. Ooh, Marie, what are you doing on these people's thing right here? What are you doing on there?
Don't even ask. I keep getting confused. I keep thinking that's yours.
No, it's not. These other ones, yes. They are all mine.
You have to look up A&M podcast. Hi, Thomas.
Wait, something right there, isn't it?
It is not.
Oh, this is what I was driving. I was driving.
Michelle.
Yeah. I didn't show nothing. I just showed that it was raining and I was happy. I almost did it though. I almost sat there and did a whole trip.
It's right there.
I
A&M
know.
podcast.
I know. I know.
Really? You know? Then how come it took you forever to click on it? Go ahead.
No, because we did this last time too, and it did not pop up.
No, it did pop up. What did you type as the title of this live?
Remembering the Fallen. I had to think about it for a minute.
Yeah, type in Remember the Fallen.
Why we have this issue every fucking time? I don't know.
You know what you need to start doing? Typing in the title of our things.
I'm trying to remember how to spell remember. Shit.
Oh my God.
Remember. That's not it. Remember the Titans. Talk amongst yourself.
I made some homemade frappuccinos. They're delicious.
Oh, you fudge factory.
There we go.
Oh, Phil Robertson. Did you see that? He passed away.
Yeah. That's sad.
This is what I think.
This is what I think. Okay, so we have a little sound box to help us do little sound tidbits.
Yeah, I thought we lost it, but we found it.
And do you know where it was? It was in your room where we thought it was and where I told you it was last episode.
No.
Yes, it was. It was on the bottom shelf. No, he was like, I gave it to you. It was in the bottom shelf of your room. You said you didn't look low enough.
I don't remember shit, okay? I can't. I have CRS. Can't remember shit.
So we're going to talk about Memorial Day.
I'm getting old. Don't judge me. I'm going to drink my coffee and be happy.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Memorial Day. It's not going to be a happy one, and I'll explain why. Um, there's a lot of people who will say, don't say Happy Memorial Day, because Memorial Day is not necessarily for veterans. It's for those who have passed away in military
Remembering the
service
fallen.
or after they served in the military. So,
So I titled it kind of Remembering the Fallen because
yeah.
that's pretty much, I mean, I had family that was in the military. Thomas Ramey was one person. Um, I believe my grandfather was also, there's another person that, speaking of military, whenever Labor Day comes about, and that's the ones who are remembering the
Mhm.
ones that fought and then came home. I have a story for you guys on that one when we do that. I don't know if he's a potential relative, but his last name is Ramey. I'll have to look him up again. And ever since I found out his name, I literally have been doing research on this dude to find out who he is, if he was married, is he possibly a family member. But you guys remember Area 51?
Yes.
He's a part of that.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was on the history. I've been watching a lot of history things. We were watching The Men Who Built America, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. Hi, Angela.
Hi,
You
Angela.
missed the fun again at the beginning.
Telling her to try to find the live.
Yeah, every time.
You need to start typing in what the live's name is.
True. I walked right into what?
Aliens?
I walked right into aliens. Oh, yes, because we'll get into what we're doing. Straw is trying
Somebody
to
is
attack
having
me.
issues with their straw.
Yes, trying to attack me. Um, that I don't know if this is a potential family member of mine who's in the military, but when we get to Labor Day, since we're doing Remembering the Fallen now, and then when we get to Labor Day, we will. Yes, Straw is trying to talk back. Um, I don't remember his name, and that's the sad part. I know his last name is Ramey, and I have family member that was in the military, but this guy was a part of Area 51, and he ranked up pretty fast. So I'll have to dig him up, and I have the notebook somewhere around here because I can't remember where I put things. Obviously,
Yeah. So this conversation is going to have the history of Memorial Day, a little like information on Memorial Day, and also is going to have some statistics on veteran suicides because they are mostly included actually in Memorial Day. Because they may not have been in active service, but they are still
yeah.
veterans who have passed away. So they are included in
I
Memorial
need
Day.
to remember to add the veterans number because I only did the
Yes.
suicide number in the comment or in the comments in the description.
Yeah.
So I need to add the veterans crisis line.
And then we will also be discussing 3 people who served in the military,
Okay. Cool.
who have passed away. So Memorial Day is a day that we remember all the soldiers who have died. So for many veterans today is a day of memory and sadness, not a day of celebration, because they're remembering who've passed.
Yes, I put that one in there.
And hence why
So it's
people
for
kind of
everybody.
get upset when you say Happy Memorial Day or you say thank them for your service on this day. It's because today's the day you remember those they've lost.
Mm.
Um, it's a remembrance day, not necessarily a celebratory day. Um, while many soldiers don't find it offensive for people to be partying it up and use it as an excuse to drink 3 days in a row, um, many of these veterans are remembering those who have passed away.
Their
Um,
brothers, their
yeah.
brothers that they fought alongside.
And then actually like the UK, fun fact, has a Remembrance Day. They call it Remembrance Day or Poppy Day.
Oh, which reminds me. Well, I was going out to the wineries with my
Mhm.
best friend Brianna and them. A lady that was at Tombstone gave us a poppy, and she also gave us this um, It's not a pamphlet per se. You could probably use it like as a bookmark. But American Legion is who it is, and in Flanders Fields. So
Yeah, red poppies are used as a remembrance flower, specifically when it comes to veterans.
So whenever we get a point or a break, I will read both sides of what's on this,
Mhm.
because the lady was passing it out. She gave us each a poppy, and she asked if we all wanted one of these. But I took one because,
Mhm.
well, we're doing our thing
Yeah.
today. I'm remembering the fall and
Yeah.
the Remembrance Day. So we do that. I will get into it.
So
And write on your left side. Yes,
so in the UK,
I did actually. When we were out, I actually put it in my left pocket to wear, and then it got windy, so I had to take it out.
so in the UK they celebrate on the second Sunday of November, so it's closer to our Veterans Day than our
Okay.
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And that's because of the history of our Memorial Day.
Excuse me.
Um and they call it Poppy Day
Oh,
because the poppies are
sorry.
called
Excuse me.
remembrance poppies.
Yes.
And
Okay.
people wear them. So if you see someone wearing a red poppy, they're wearing a remembrance poppy. And then the USAA actually put up a poppy wall. So it's like poppies embedded in resin,
Okay. Cool.
as a way to honor those who have passed on, and they put it on the Capitol Mall. So there's a giant wall of
Poppies.
resin filled poppy. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'd also like to say that Memorial Day falls in May, which is actually Military Appreciation Month
Nice.
and Military Caregiver Month.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So May is both for those who have served in the military, but also who care for those who have served in the military.
I think there should be more people that care about the military and the
Yeah,
people who served. That's just my opinion.
yeah. I know it's not typically talked about or mentioned. Like we don't really talk about like when like Military Appreciation
Hmm.
Month is, but I thought it was important to know like May is that time period.
Yep.
Um, I would like to say that Memorial Day is not just a day for those who have died in active duty, but there are soldiers who have died due to suicide. Um, though I know the typical focus in Memorial Days are for those who have died in combat. So here's some fun little facts. Memorial Day actually started in 1868, and it was originally called Decoration Day.
Okay.
And it was a way to honor the Civil War veterans after the conflict. And it was both sides that celebrated. So it was North and South. The North always had it on like a Sunday in May,
Yeah.
whereas in the South it was like the second Saturday. Like
Okay.
they were not the same day, but
Hmm.
Decoration Day was they would go and decorate the soldiers. They would decorate the graves of the soldiers, put flowers, put flower wreaths,
Okay.
decorate the gravesite. So the first National Decoration Day took place a few weeks uh after the GAR promulgated on May 30th at Arlington National Cemetery. Approximately 11,000 white and black Union soldiers were buried along with about 350 Confederate soldiers. More than half of them were buried as unknowns.
Oh, wow.
The ceremony was held around the Arlington mansion, decorated with flags and draped for mourning. Nearby, the very profuse decorations of the main tomb, where the remains of 2,111 unknown soldiers were buried.
Okay.
So, once the home of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, the dwelling and land around it was designated a national cemetery in 1864. So, after the writing of the Memorial Day Act, which was a general order, um, for the Decoration Day, that's when they started calling it Memorial Day because they called it the Memorial Day Act.
Mm.
So, hence where we get Memorial Day and why we stopped calling it Decoration Day, but have now moved on to calling it Memorial Day because we were actually calling it after the general order that was the Memorial Day Act.
I like it being called Remembrance Day because that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, because Memorial Day, it kind of gets confusing because you think it's for everybody, but in reality, it's only for those
Yeah.
who have passed. Um, Some stuff that was done was that the family or people who knew the person would go to the graves of soldiers, leave flower wreaths or flowers. And actually, New York was the first state to actually recognize it as a holiday in 1873.
Oh,
So
really?
it was more like this is just a day, Decoration Day is just a day you go. It's not, New
Yeah.
York was the first one to say this is a holiday. And then as time went on and America fought in more wars and lost lots of people, it no longer became a day for remembrance of the Civil War. It became a way to remember all the soldiers who have passed in all wars that the US has served in. The commemoration of Decoration Day, or as it was increasingly became known, Memorial Day, continued through the late 19th and early 20th century as an informal patriotic holiday.
Nice.
So after World War I, the event was expanded to honor those who died to all American wars,
Yeah.
and the federal government continued to recognize Memorial Day through legislative actions. The Congressional Joint Resolution, approved May 11th, 1950, has requested the president issue a proclamation calling upon the people of the United States to observe each Memorial Day as a day of prayer for permanent peace and designation a period during each such day when the people of the United States might unite in such a supplication. A congressional resolution in 1966 officially recognized a century of Memorial Day events held on May 30th in Waterloo, New York, and officially proclaimed by President Lyndon B. Johnson. Thus, the federal government declared this location the birthplace of Memorial Day. So, even though it had been going on for years all over North,
They
South,
made it official.
they made it official and said that Waterloo, New York was the birthplace of Memorial Day. Shortly after that, the Uniform Monday Holiday Act legislation enacted in 1968, effective in 1971, designated Memorial Day a national holiday.
Year John was born.
Yeah, and moved it from May 30th to the last Monday in May. Um, so there's a little history. So it didn't become an officially recognized federal holiday until 1971.
Okay.
So from like 1860 something to 1971, people were like, it's an informal patriotic holiday. We'll celebrate it because it's important to remember it. And then it became a national federal holiday. Okay. Um
I'm
so
gonna love this thing, just by the way.
so now I'm
This
going
is
to talk a
awesome.
little bit about statistics, and they are sad ones.
Yeah.
But it's important to know how many soldiers have died in the U.S. military. So, according to statistics, there have been quite a few people who have passed on the U.S. side. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, 1.19 million fatalities have happened in the U.S. military.
Sorry. Oh, she did the. Okay.
So,
Hard to see
1.19
it.
million soldiers have died.
One. What?
1.19 million soldiers have died
Wow.
from 1975 to about 19 from the beginning of the US, from the Revolutionary War to present.
I had family in the Revolutionary War, by the way.
Between 1775 and 1991, with 651,031 being battle deaths and 539,054 non combat deaths. These are estimate numbers. That's because Revolutionary War, War of 1812,
They really didn't.
Civil War, they didn't keep good records.
No.
So I will touch on that. But the numbers that are they know are like much clearer and that kept really well was 1980 to 2022. Because of better record keeping, and that is about 60,000. We'll say 61,000, which about 51,000, about 86% were due to accidents, illness, and self-inflicted wounds.
Oh wow.
So
And that's from 1980 to
2022.
22. Okay.
So that's
Just to we'll make sure to clarify.
yeah,
You said, I know you said it, but I'm like,
just
just want to
a
clarify.
clarification.
Yeah.
So let's get to some more specific numbers. In the Revolutionary War, which was 1775 to 1783, they estimate about 25,000 soldiers died.
Wow.
In the War of 1812, they estimate about 20,000 soldiers died. That was from 1812 to 1815, by the way.
Oh wow.
And how the Mexican American War was 13,283 soldiers were lost.
Wow.
And then we're going to get to the biggie.
Yeah, the Civil War.
The Civil War, they originally estimated in 1888 that 620,000 people died in the Civil War.
Jeez.
But that was because the Confederates, but due to more research and looking at the actual censuses at the time, they now estimate that number is actually 750,000 at the minimum to 820,000 at the maximum.
Jeez.
And that's because Confederacy records were burned. They burned the records because they didn't want people to find out who they were.
So you couldn't give the family the respect that they deserve of knowing that their family member died?
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, they told them that they died, but they didn't want the North to know who was who, because the North would be like, "Cool." And I'll explain that, like, the Confederate wives didn't report their husbands' deaths. They knew their husbands died,
Mm,
but they didn't report their husbands' deaths because they would lose benefits. Because the North went, "We're not gonna give benefits to Confederates or Confederates' wives because they went against us, they're traitors.
mhm.
We're not gonna support them in any form or way." And so they lied about it.
Understandable. You know what's funny about that too? Is I know I said that I have family in the Revolutionary War. I actually had, when I looked up my ancestry, I had family that were in the military that did go against each other. Had some in the north, some in the south. It's like, no wonder some of us don't get along. That's what happened. And
Yeah.
it's sad because you did have families. You had
Brother
brothers that
fighting brother.
brother, and then uncle fighting uncle. Well, in our sense, uncle fighting uncle, or father fighting son, and you
Exactly.
had that back then. And it's like, what side do you pick? It's like the Hatfields and the McCoys is kind of how I look at it in a sense. In a sense, I'm not saying it's exactly like the
Yeah.
Hatfields and the McCoys, but it's more or less that when you figure out that the dad could have shot his son and not known it,
Yeah.
and then finds out later. It's like, my son was on that side. Whoa, hold on a minute. And then
Yeah.
they have to come to terms with it.
Yeah, you gotta come to terms with it. But, like,
McCoy.
also, just like the Civil War was really messed up, because, and also, I hate the fact we don't teach actually what the Civil War was about. Do you know how many times now they teach that the Civil War was over states' rights, right?
Yeah.
States' rights to do what?
No.
Own slaves.
Oh,
The Civil War was all about owning slaves.
did I learn that? I don't remember what I learned in school. Sorry.
So if
It's been that
anyone
long ago.
so here's a little fun fact, if anyone ever tells you that the Civil War was just over states' rights, hit them with the
Right.
states' rights over what? Because that's the only reason they were fought, was because the North was saying, "You need to stop with slavery. We've already stopped shipping slaves over. Now
Yeah.
you just have the slaves reproducing on the land."
Yeah.
So now, and the South was like, "No, you're taking away how we make our money. That's mean of you. We don't like that." And the North was like, "Stop owning people."
Yeah.
And the South was like, "No, if you know what? I don't want to be a part of your country anymore because you won't let us own slaves." We did the three-fifths compromise, which, by the way, terrible thing.
Proclamation. Hello. It's why you can't own
That was
slaves
done
in
in
the
the
country.
middle of the Civil War.
Uh-huh. History.
The
That's
emancipation,
one thing that I remember out of freaking history is that the fact that there's
which was
Emancipation
which
Proclamation.
was done after Abraham Lincoln basically was like, "You need to release your slaves. You need to stop your slave owning."
Yeah,
And they
but
were like, "No." They were like, "We're going to war." And he was all like, "You need to stop." And they went, "No, we're going to war with you now." And so they went to war. And the Emancipation Proclamation was specifically to turn the slaves against their slave owners to come join the North in fighting.
nice. Way to go, Abe.
So,
I like, but do you notice out of everything in history wise, two things I remember: he got shot, and the Emancipation Proclamation, because it's
yeah.
very important.
Hmm.
Because of that,
Yeah.
the slaves were freed.
Yeah, the slaves, and I hate to say it, they were free to a point,
Yeah, true.
because they found a way to make them indentured servants. And then when indentured servitude, which is illegal now, by the way,
Yeah.
um, they found other ways around it.
It's called a loophole.
Exactly.
What
It's
they
called paying people pennies for doing something and then saying we're paying them a penny.
they chose to work here for that money.
Or in the early days after the Civil War, they made rules like you couldn't cross the railroad tracks
Oh wow.
at a certain time, specifically when people were going home. So when the former slaves who were now working on the farms and getting paid
Yeah.
like a couple of cents on the dollar, right? But they're getting money.
Yeah.
They were going home. They needed to cross the railroad tracks to go home.
Yeah.
The police would wait for them to cross the railroad tracks, arrest them, then give them back to the owner that they previously owned and said, "Here, this is how he's got to work off his debt, and you don't have to pay him."
That he's trying to go home.
But that's how messed up they were.
Yeah,
That's how much they wanted slavery.
that's
They found so many loopholes.
greedy ass people.
Loopholes that are still in effect. Okay, but now that we're done talking about the Confederates, we're going to talk about the Spanish American War, which lost about 446,000 soldiers.
Wow.
The World War One, we lost 116,000 soldiers. World War Two, 405,000.
Wow.
Korean War, 36,000. Vietnam War, 58,000. Gulf War was 258 soldiers.
Oh wow.
Super low. 258. The lowest one we got. And then you have the War on Terror, which is from 2001 to present, which has lost about 70,000 soldiers.
Jeez.
I think I typed that right in. Is it 7,000 or 70? I feel like it's more than 7,000 because I typed in 60,000 earlier. So it's more than 7,000.
Yeah.
I must have missed a zero.
Wow.
So now we're going to do a little talk about statistics. Even more statistics, some baffling statistics, specifically on statistics on veteran and suicide, because these are all individuals who lost their life in the middle of combat, whether it was active duty death, so they were shot by enemy fire, or whether they died because of accidents that happened on the military bases, them getting sick, or things like this.
Yeah.
This is, I'm going to talk about servicemen who commit suicide, and then those who have left the service
Mm.
and the rates and statistics there because some of them are baffling.
Mm.
So in 2023, a total of 523 service members died by suicide, which was an increase from 493 in 2022, which is 12% higher. So we had a 12% raise in suicide rates among active service members. And that rate has been increasing since 2011.
Wow.
So, some of the reasonings for this could be that young enlisted men make up the largest number of suicide rates.
Yeah.
Combat stressors, so seeing somebody injured, seeing active combat, mental health conditions, and then other factors like childhood and being forced to leave the service too soon
Yeah.
can also affect it. But then we're going to get to 6,407 veterans committed suicide in 2022, with it being 22 consecutive years of 6,000 plus veteran suicides every year. 140,000 have died by suicide since 2001 and is the second leading cause of death in veterans under the age of 45. Significant increase in suicide rates since 2001. The rate of veteran firearm suicide has increased by 65%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the suicide rate among veterans age 18 to 34 has more than doubled.
Wow.
Western states have experienced the greatest increase in veteran suicide rates. So, whatever reason, America's
Mm.
suicide rate is getting higher than anywhere else in the world. For some reason, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Maybe that we stigma mental health. I don't know. That's just my idea.
well,
That's
that's the issue. You're not going to know because there's not much. I honestly feel that there's not enough resources for people who were in the military to help them get through whatever it is that they're suffering from.
exactly.
I
There's
feel that there's just not enough.
exactly no mental health care.
Yeah.
I mean, the department, and I hate to say this, the Department of Defense gets billions of dollars,
And
and
some of that
we
money could go
lose a
to.
lot of that money. We, I did a study once.
I agree. That is right. Men aren't
Yes,
supposed to need help, which is
it
bullshit.
it is bullshit. Um, I mean, I was doing something in school once, and I looked it up, and we lost like too many, like somewhere along the line of we lost $1 billion We misplaced $1 billion in the Department of Defense. I
Sorry, I'm
don't know how
laughing.
you
How do
misplace
you misplace?
$1 billion.
That must have been a very good Starbucks
You
and
know what? Had
expensive.
to have been. But if we could
I take
not
it.
misplace that $1 billion, imagine how much could have been used to put it towards something to help with the mental health of veterans.
Because a lot of people who were in the military, I'm going to someone took it home probably.
Yeah, probably. Or they gave them like they used it for like hostage situations, but even then they shouldn't be saying they lost it. They put it towards hostage
Just be
situations.
honest about it. We want a government that's honest. Some people look at John for instance. He wasn't in the military for very long, maybe 2 years at the most, and he gets nothing. He didn't go into battle. He was in the boot camp and all that stuff, but he gets nothing.
Yeah,
And it's even if he didn't go to battle, he did go to boot camp. He did do what he was doing. He was in he lost very bad hearing. His hearing is horrible, but and it's because he was in a tank. They
exactly.
did not warn him plugs because they were fixing to shoot, so he didn't have time to put the plugs in. And now on one side he can't hear with the crap.
Exactly.
But he gets nothing, regardless of how long the person to me has been in service.
And that's
They
and
should get some type of benefit. They should get something. PTSD is a real thing.
mhm,
PTSD is not so, oh, well, I have PTSD. Okay, well, I have PTSD
yeah,
from an abusive relationship. A lot of people have PTSD. Military PTSD.
it's on a whole different
It's
scale.
yeah, it's a whole nother bubble.
Military PTSD is different from personal PTSD, which is different from childhood PTSD.
Mm,
Like there are different ways, but
yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
there need to be you need to take care of veterans of soldiers. You need to take care of them because in the statistics I found out after
Hmm.
actually that the suicide rate for those who are undeployed, so they were not deployed,
Hmm.
is 40%, 48% higher than veterans who experienced deployment.
Mm,
So for whatever reason, soldiers who were not deployed
yeah.
somehow have a higher percentage of suicide rates than those who were deployed. And they can't find the reasoning for this.
And my theory, I'm going to throw this out there. They were not deployed, correct? You
Hmm.
said they were not deployed. Maybe they felt like they signed up for it and felt they were useless because they were just sitting there.
Exactly. And
Like the
it
government didn't want to use them. And
survivor's
survivor's
guilt. It
guilt,
could be survivor's guilt. It
like their brothers. We're going to call them brothers. We're not going to. They're their brothers in
mhm,
arms. I lost my brother over there. Yes, technically, I'm going to get a little biblical. Okay, technically, we are brothers and sisters.
mhm.
Regardless, we are brothers and
But you're
sisters.
also like trauma bonded. It's like
Yes.
a trauma bond with people in the military because you got to go through a bunch of like
Look
hoops
at.
and hollers and training.
I'm going to point out the movie Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Look at Forrest Gump. Look at him and Bubba. Okay, I mean, these two were on a dang bus, sitting here and talking about opening up a restaurant,
Yeah.
saying, okay, what did he say? What did he say? Coconut shrimp, Bubba shrimp. I mean, they were doing. I'm sorry for the accent, but I had to do it because it goes with it.
Yeah.
But whenever his
Mhm.
brother died, and and then Forrest carrying him out after he got shot,
Mhm.
and the dude didn't make it. He knew the guy wasn't going to make it, but like you're saying, the connection that you have
Yeah.
with the person that you're either in boot camp with and you get transported out with and deployed with.
You spend so much time with them, and then on top of it, I mean, look at Navy SEALs, right? Navy SEALs go through all this training.
Jeez.
They go through like a week of training, right? Where all they can rely on is they can't rely on their trainers
Mm-mm.
because their trainers are supposed to imitate that they're the enemy. The only person you can rely on is
These are
the person
brothers.
beside you when they're in the middle of the water and they're staying in there all night in the freezing cold water, right? They're looped into the next person besides them. And guess what? They got to stay beside that person because if you let go, that person's gone.
Yep.
So you have that like connection. And so it's survivor's guilt, losing your whole entire team.
Hmm.
It's it's messed up. And I think also I think it might be the stigma.
Yeah.
We might be more willing to be like, "Oh, he's really traumatized from what he saw when he was deployed." But
Yeah.
what about the people who are still here? What about the people who were working military drones still here in the United States,
What are they
who
seeing them drones?
they saw probably terrible things in those drones,
They
but
may not be there,
because
but
they
that's a
were on home soil, they're not as traumatized as the people who were deployed. That's not necessarily the case.
yeah.
So
I know
I found that was an interesting statistic.
my brother-in-law who is a police officer.
Exactly. They got told they're not there.
He I know he was in the military.
Mhm.
Now he may have lost friends. I haven't asked because I don't bring it up
Mhm.
because he does have trauma. You know, he does go through the PTSD and having trauma, and he probably has lost. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not saying he didn't, but he probably has lost quite a few. People. And in all honesty, jumping a little bit to the future, the next time we have a Labor Day or Memorial Day, maybe asking him if he's okay with it. I don't want to force him.
Mhm.
If he'd be willing to jump on our podcast, him and John both
Mhm.
talk about their stories. And if it's too much, then it's too much. They don't
Yeah.
have to. You know what I mean? Like getting the side of the people
Mhm.
that were deployed and
Yeah.
over there, but people that we know, of course. But it's a lot for a guy that me and my brother went to school with. He was in the military.
Yeah.
He went, and I'm glad he's home. I'm glad he's safe, has family. But it comes down to who did he lose? Like you're
Exactly.
saying, people aren't looking at, oh, well, yeah, he's traumatized. Okay, what is he traumatized by? They're not really being asked that.
Yeah,
If
exactly. It's
they're not
just
being asked, who did you lose? Who do you want to remember today? You're not being, nobody's being asked that.
yeah.
It's just, oh, he's traumatized. Give him all. It's like now you come home, you're traumatized. Let's get you into therapy. Let's get you drugs. Let's give
Exactly.
you the medication to help with that.
It's also it's yeah, exactly. Let's get you great. Let's get them into therapy. And I hate to
Yeah,
say it. Yes, let's give them medication maybe to help them.
yeah,
But let's not just use medication to just
yeah.
treat the problem, like treat the symptoms, but
Can
not the
we eat?
problem.
Yeah.
But another thing is suicide is the second leading cause of death for post 9/11 veterans.
Oh wow.
So this has not been a big problem before. Before 9/11, before recent war, suicide rates have not been this high. So for whatever reason, since 9/11, the rates have been super high. And no one can find the reason why.
Hmm.
And maybe it's because less soldiers are physically dying,
Could be.
but it could also be that we just and I hate to say it, 9/11 happened, right?
Hmm.
I was a kid. I remember the towers falling. But those that war that we were in Afghanistan, we were in Iraq, we were in all of these other countries. For me, that's been happening for most of my life.
Yeah.
We've been in another country fighting in a war. So to me, it's just another day, another dollar. There are people dying in another country, which is not how you should be looking at things.
No.
But
No.
it has become so desensitized that we hear, oh, you served in the military? Cool. We aren't like, oh, great. I'm sorry for everything you went through. There's not that human connection. See, there's not that empathy necessarily because specifically for my generation and the younger generations, it's just something that's happening. It's something that happens. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
I mean, take Ukraine. If you see there are videos of people in Ukraine just doing their day-to-day business and then at night they got to stay inside their houses because they're bombing the major cities.
Wow.
But they go to work the same day. Exactly. They're not thinking outside of themselves.
Yep. I agree
And
with
I
that.
and I think it's because they're not thinking outside themselves because to them it's like it happens. It's what we go through.
And to add to that also, they're looking at it like, well, it's not affecting me. No, but
Exactly.
it's affecting the people that are going through it. And you need
Exactly.
to look at that. And yeah, it is affecting us because if it wasn't for the ones that signed up to be willing to go give their life and to protect us and help keep us safe. We wouldn't have the freedom that we have because of them. And you know what's funny is that that took me a long time to understand that.
Yeah.
You know, my again, I will say my brain doesn't process a whole lot of things. So literally watching little shows on History Channel or learning about it in a
Mhm.
different way, like this sense and an aspect that learning that what everybody went through and what they're going through. Because when they come home, they're not done.
Yeah.
It's not done for them. They have
No.
that PTSD becomes worse. They have night terrors. They have all of this stuff, and there's nothing that can really help them except getting into a community. And this is just my thought, a community to where they're with other veterans.
Mhm.
They can sit and talk about, you know,
They can heal on their own in a
yeah,
way that is easier for them to do. And I agree that movies make war look not so bad,
which is a crack of crap.
which I think is right.
But Saving
I'm
Private Ryan, I thought was pretty good. I mean, it looked horrible. Any war movie I watch to me looks horrible. Any war movie looks horrible
and
to
that's
me.
another thing that I really get pissed off of. How many veterans have said, "Please don't shoot off fireworks on
Some
Veterans
movies, yeah,
Day,
some movies.
on Memorial Day?" Because how many veterans are traumatized by the sound of gunfire that sounds like it? And what do I hear last night?
Fireworks,
Fireworks going off. Please listen when veterans are telling you that
especially,
fireworks traumatize them.
yep.
Listen to veterans. You're supposed to be, this is a day to celebrate veterans. This is a day to celebrate people who have passed. Listen to them, please.
If especially if you live in an area or a community or neighborhood,
Hmm.
a community neighborhood of people that might, go check on them. Go over there and check on them. Go take them a plate of food in remembrance
Yeah.
for their fallen brothers. And like Angela has said before, instead of saying thank you for your service, say I'm glad you're home, brother. I'm glad that you're here.
Hmm.
You can still sit there and say
Thank you.
thank you, but
I'm
don't
glad
say
you're still
thank
here.
you. Don't say thank you for your service because you're just thanking that one person. You could sit there and say thank you to your platoon
Hmm.
for everything that they've done. I'm sorry that you've lost so much. Make it to where you're paying attention to what they went through. Because if you're sitting there saying, thanks for your service, that's
And
it. That's all you're giving them. If you sit there and you're like, thank you for you and your platoon for what you did. You know, I
it's
celebrate you. It means a lot that I'm so glad that you're home. I'm
mhm,
so glad that you're back.
exactly. It's more of a
You're trying to do the connection with that person. So if you live in an
exactly.
area with someone who has PTSD and who went through no matter what war it was,
Hmm.
Vietnam, which I heard was a hellish war. It was one to me, I've heard it's one of the worst ones, but I wasn't there, so I can't say anything.
And I think the reason that Vietnam War was so bad was because of how they came back.
Yeah.
I think it was because we were, first of all, the way we got into the Vietnam War, questionable. Do you know that story?
No.
Apparently, a bomb blew up near a ship. They're not even sure if it was a bomb. It was like it could have been turbulence.
Oh wow.
It was a political action. They literally said, "Oh, somebody bombed the ship." But in reality, they were like, "Was that a bomb? I don't know if that wasn't a bomb." And then immediately we send thousands of soldiers into this country where it's a civil war.
Yeah.
And we're like, we don't want communism to win, so we're gonna fight with what I'm pretty sure the side we were fighting on was essentially an authoritarian government too.
Oh
We
jeez.
were siding with them because we didn't want communism there. We were scared of it. So we sent soldiers, we dropped, and I think what made it worse was we were dropping napalm on them.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want us there. We didn't want to be there. It
Wow.
was just an overwhelming just we shouldn't have been there in the first place. And when people came back,
Mhm.
People realized that they didn't want to. Yeah, they were treated like they were scum, and they weren't treated well because, and I hate to say this, a lot of people who are
Wow.
here in America thought, they forget that many of the people who went to Vietnam did not willingly choose to go there. There was a draft. Many people were pulled from their homes, pulled from their lives to go serve in a war they didn't want to fight in.
Yep.
But they thought, "Oh, you went to the Vietnam War. You shouldn't have been in the Vietnam War." Cool, we shouldn't have been in the Vietnam
No,
War,
really?
but guess what? I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I didn't willingly go, "I wanna serve in the war." I was pulled, because how many people were pulled to serve in the Vietnam War?
Okay.
So many.
Yeah.
But just,
Trying to find the right buzzer for that. I think it's this one.
yeah. It was the Vietnam War is one of those wars where it's like we should have never been in there.
Yeah. No.
We should have never.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
And now they have it to where if you have, um, now they kind of, they, not kind of, now they are particular about who they let, like, so like with Justin, he'd be my only son
Mhm.
because his brother
Mhm.
is with his aunt, right? So technically they couldn't draft him
Yeah.
because he'd be the only child, he'd be the
Yeah.
only son. Well, he now has John's last name, and John has two sons, but they can't take either one of them
Yeah.
because he's got health issues. He's as blind as a bat. His other son has health issues,
And
and
that's,
it's they. It's I want to say they kind of nitpick, but at the same time, they're not nitpicking.
and I think another thing that was different from the Vietnam War was, I think the Vietnam War is the one and only one where we drafted people. Where people didn't go, "I'm fighting for a country." Even in the most recent war on terror, right?
Yeah,
It's lasted since 2001.
yeah.
Most everyone has willingly chose over everyone has willingly chose to go fight in that war. They've decided, "I want to serve my country. I want to do this." Nobody was forced to do this.
I signed up to do National Guards.
Hmm, I
Didn't
didn't
get
know that.
in.
Yeah,
Didn't get in because the girl that I was hanging out with got a low ASVAB score. I think it was a 9. I was a couple points away from getting in.
I would not make it. My knees would kill me.
I think
Um,
mine was gonna be, but mine was gonna be the whole thing of like, okay, I get it, National Guard goes
mhm,
in, understand that, and then I think I was gonna be that weekend warrior type person. That's what I wanted to do.
yeah.
And then when I found out I was pregnant with Justin, no disrespect to military people, I was glad that I didn't get into it because then how often would I be at home?
Sullivan Brothers, the rule for which men can serve.
Mm,
Didn't both Sullivan brothers died, and there was no one to continue on the legacy, I think.
probably.
So they had to make it that only one male could have to stay.
Yeah, I think mine was neither, and we had nothing to study, nothing to study when we did our ASVAB.
Mm.
I just seen an answer and when my gut clicked it.
Oh, it was 5?
Yeah, Five Brothers. It's oh no, that's a different movie. Sorry, because you think Saving Private Ryan, they were looking for a man named Ryan
Hmm.
to take him home. But I remember I've seen the movie, but I forgot what the movie was about. Like they were trying to get him out of it to send him home because he had a brother that was in the war in that movie too, and that brother died or something. It's been a while since I've
Maybe.
seen the movie, but I could be wrong.
But
Okay.
yeah. So, something else. So in 2022, 54.4% had no contact with the VA 5 years prior to their death. So they essentially, 50% of the people who committed suicide went, "The VA is not doing anything for me. I'm going to stop talking to them. I'm not going to do them. I'm not going to use them. So I'm not talking to them."
Well,
So to me, that should be immediately something that they
that's a
flag.
major red flag.
That's a major red flag, and you should be immediately being like, "Who hasn't gotten in contact with us recently? Let's try to do things." But that's just me. Um, and then depending on the branch, Up to 31% of service members develop PTSD after returning from combat.
Mm-hmm.
The rate of suicide for veterans in the LGBTQ plus community
Yeah.
is 7 times higher than non-LGBTQ community
Oh wow.
service members.
Okay.
And then in 2021, a study by Brown University estimated that 30,000 veterans post 9/11 conflicts had died by suicide. When compared to the
Oh,
7
so she said the Hutchins brothers were 4 of 6 brothers. The Sullivans
Sullivans were
were
5 of
five,
5.
so all five. Okay.
Um, Compared to the 7,000 personnel killed in the conflicts, at least 4 times as many veterans died by suicide than personnel were killing during the post 9/11 conflicts.
Oh wow.
So, according to also a 2002 report by the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, nearly half of U.S. military service members
Mm-hmm.
have seriously considered suicide since joining the armed forces. A 2023 study led by the University of Texas at San Antonio
Mm-hmm.
examined suicide among veterans of post 9/11 conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
The study found that veterans that experienced traumatic brain injuries had higher suicide rates than veterans that did not. So basically, your head injury has something to do with it, which, no, duh.
Wait. Let me find one. Hold on. Sorry, we don't have a dub button. Oh wait, here we go.
Ah.
That
Okay,
was a light
so
bulb.
so now that we've talked about the suicide rates and soldiers,
Yeah. A
yeah,
lot of it is based around mental health,
a lot
and
of
they're
it
not
is.
taking it very
They don't take
seriously.
it seriously, and I hate to say this, it's because we as a society are like, men don't have feelings. Yes, they do.
Mhm.
Men have feelings. Please listen to men.
Well, hang on. Listen to the to men when they want to talk about this. Other than that, no, I'm just kidding. No, listen to me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, seriously, listen to them when they do want to
When they
talk
want
because
to
you don't know what they're really going through.
when they want to talk about
She's
their
like, I
feelings,
hate you right now.
when they talk about their feelings, let them talk about it. And even if
Let them
they
get it
don't
out.
want to talk about their feelings, sometimes I'm like, Justin, tell me how you're feeling. And he's like, I don't want to. And I'm like, damn, I just want you to talk to me about how you feel.
See, that's what I'm saying. I will listen to men, just not follow their orders.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I will not follow their orders unless I want to.
I like it. Thomas, I have feelings. I have feelings. Yes, men have feelings, and you can wear pink. We've had this discussion before, Thomas.
I
It's
once I
okay
saw somebody a
to wear
guy go
feelings.
into Target, right? And he's like looking at their like men's clothing and he saw like a pale blue short, pale like sage green shorts and pink shorts. He's like, "This is for men. Real men don't wear these." And I was like, wear the shorts. If you think they're cute, wear the shorts. It doesn't matter the color.
Yeah, real men wear pink. Go for it. Wear pink. Be proud.
Damn.
Yes, Thomas, you have feelings. Otherwise, you lie to me. Oh, good.
Pink shorts, salmon colored shirts. Exactly.
Do
Wear
it.
pink.
Do it. There's nothing wrong with pink. There's nothing wrong with sharing your feelings.
So now we're going to talk about a couple of military personnel who have
Okay,
passed away.
go for it.
So the first one is Deborah Sampson, who was born in 1760. She was born on December 17th in Plimpton, Massachusetts, so near Plymouth, Massachusetts. She was one of 7 children to Jonathan Sampson Jr. and Deborah Sampson. Both of her parents were descendants of the original Pilgrims, Jonathan of Miles Standish and Priscilla Aldine. His wife, the great granddaughter of Massachusetts Governor William Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
Still, the Sampsons struggled financially, and after Jonathan failed to return from a sea voyage, his impoverished wife was forced to place her children in different households. 5 years later, at age 10, young Deborah was bound out as an indentured servant to Deacon Benjamin Thomas, a farmer in Middleborough with a large family. At age 18, her indentured servitude ended. Sampson, who was self educated, worked as a teacher during summer sessions in 1779 and 1780 and as a weaver in the winter.
Oh,
In 1782, as the Revolutionary War raged on, the patriotic Sampson disguised herself as a man named Robert Shirtliff and joined the 4th Massachusetts Regiment.
Okay.
At West Point, New York, she was assigned to Captain George Webb, Company of Light Infantry. She was given the dangerous task of scouting neutral territory to assess British buildup of men and material in Manhattan.
Mm.
When General George Washington was contemplated attacking in June of 1782, Sampson and two sergeants led about 30 infantrymen on an expedition that ended with a confrontation, often one-on-one with the English. She led a raid on an English home that resulted in the capture of 15 men. Remember, she's disguised as a man this whole entire time.
Oh, jeez.
She's full on Mulaning it.
Nice.
Sampson, like many veterans of the Revolution, also claims she fought during the siege of Yorktown, digging trenches, helping storm a British redoubt, and enduring cannon fire. However, a neighbor's diary discovered in 2019 cast doubts on Sampson's claim that she fought in Yorktown.
Mm.
For over 2 years, though, Sampson's true sex had escaped detection, despite close calls. When she received a gash on her forehead from a sword and was shot in her left thigh, she extracted the pistol ball by herself.
Well, probably not the smartest thing.
She was ultimately discovered a year and a half into her service
Oh, wow.
in Philadelphia when she became ill during an epidemic and was taken to a hospital and lost consciousness.
Oops.
She received an honorable discharge on October 23rd of 1783.
I mean, dang.
Sampson returned to Massachusetts, and on April 7th, 1785, she married Benjamin Gannett from Shannon, and they had 3 children, Earl, Mary, and Patience. The story of her life was written in 1787 by Herman Mann, entitled The Female Review, Memoirs of an American Young Lady. She received a military pension from the state of Massachusetts.
Nice.
Although Sampson's life after the army was mostly typical of a farmer's wife, in 1802 she began a year-long lecture tour about her experiences, the first woman in America to do so,
Wow.
sometimes dressing in full military regalia.
Wow.
4 years after Sampson's death at the age of 66, her husband petitioned Congress for pay as the spouse of a soldier.
Right.
Although the couple was not married at the time of her service, in 1837 the committee concluded that the history of the Revolution furnished with no other similar examples of female heroism, fidelity, and courage. He was awarded the money, though he died before receiving it.
Oh, jeez. Did they give it to the kids at least?
No,
Oh, my God.
but
Nobody got the money.
so she literally dressed up as a man. So she was the first female to serve in American military,
Oh, wow.
and she did it dressed up as a man.
Wow. That
She straight up Mulan'd it.
she did. She did move
And
on
she
it.
took a pistol ball out of her own thigh
She's like, here, let me
because she was
lick
like,
this
if
out.
they catch me, they're going to discharge me. And the moment she was caught, they discharged her. They
I
gave her
mean,
an honorable
I
discharge,
mean,
though.
she called it.
She called it.
She
She knew
called it.
it.
She knew
If she hadn't gotten sick, who knows
how far she could have got.
how far she could have gotten.
She would have. Wow.
And then she went back to living a typical farmer's wife.
I mean, she's like, oh, I had my run. Okay.
And then she was like, you know what? I'm going to go on a lecture tour. Sometimes I'm going to full military regalia.
That's funny.
We'll see. Just when I'm in a mood.
She dressed up.
Another one, and I did a very small one on this because if I talked about her whole life, we'd be here all day.
Oh, okay.
Born into slavery in Maryland, Harriet Tubman escaped the freedom in the North in 1849 to become the most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. Tubman risked her life to lead dozens of family members and other slaves from the
Yep.
plantation system to freedom in this elaborate secret network of steakhouses. A leading abolitionist during the American Civil War, Tubman also helped the Union Army during the war. She was a part of the Union military.
You know why I'm smiling? I had to do my report on her. That's why I'm
She's
so glad you're talking about her because I actually loved her background and her
yes.
story because you're all like Harriet Tubman was like, oh yeah, she's not wrong. Her
Her life
story, her
is
life is long.
her life is long and also wild. Like it's like sometimes like I'm like I was reading and I was like I'm gonna have to sum this up because this is like a movie. This is tone it down.
Yes, she did a lot.
Um,
She's a lot.
she worked as a spy among other roles. So she was a spy, which damn, okay. And then after the Civil War ended, Tubman dedicated her life to helping the impoverished former slaves and the elderly. In honor of her life and by popular demand in 2016, the U.S. Treasury Department announced that Tubman would replace Andrew Jackson on the center of a new $20 bill. Don't know when that's going to happen still.
Yeah.
They said they're going to do it and then they've never done it. Yeah.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Yeah.
Do you know what movies that's from?
I know what movie.
Okay, good. Just
And
making
then
sure.
the last one we're going to talk about is a bit of a doozy.
Okay.
His name is John Kinsel Sr.
Kensel.
He was
That's a
born in
different name.
1921 in, I'm sorry about this pronunciation, Chukau, Arizona. He was born on the Navajo reservation. So that's native to their language. I have no
Lukachukai.
hope of pronouncing that. So he
Lukachukai.
was born on the Arizona Navajo reservation.
Okay.
He became accustomed to hardship from an early age. So his father died when he was still an infant, and
Aw.
then he later lost his younger brother.
Aw. Sad.
While still young, he was given responsibility for caring for his younger siblings as well as family livestock. His given Navajo name translates roughly to leader and powerful speaker.
Okay.
A fitting name given his later accomplishments.
What was his name?
I, I I didn't put that because I can't pronounce it, and I'm not doing him that dishonor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Current
current
timeline.
timelines it'll be out 2030,
Guys, we're
but we
that
got to stop
sorry.
making pennies.
Yes. Get out of debt first.
He went to boarding school in Fort Defiance for 2 years and remembers his time there as marred by bullies, severe discipline, inadequate food, and struggling to learn English.
Lord.
He then moved to St. Michael Indian School, which he remembers more fondly, where he credits the religious ceremonies for him helping to learn English.
Nice.
He went to a high school first in Fort Wingate and then at St. Catherine's Indian School in Santa Fe, where he graduated in 1942.
Nice.
Kinsel was a member of the second cohort to be trained as code talkers. He was one of the Navajo code talkers.
Oh, nice.
And he remembers working together with some of the first 29 to develop the additional code terms. So he helped create some of the code terms.
Nice.
Kinsel went through boot camp and the code talkers training with his fellow participant, Joe Hosteen Kelwood, who remembered Kinsel as a tough and driven individual who was selected to assist the instructors and demanded that the other trainees meet his high professional standards. Kinsel was assigned to the 9th Marine Regiment, the 3rd Marine Division, where he served together with Bill Toledo, and his first stop overseas was for 8 months of training in New Zealand,
Yeah.
a time and country that he remembers fondly.
Nice.
His first combat experience came during the Battle of Bougainville, where he recalls the intensity of jungle fighting, but also the camaraderie of celebrating Thanksgiving with his fellow Marines. Next came the Battle of Guam, where Kinsel and the rest of the 3rd Marine Division faced heavy resistance on the beaches and throughout the island.
Mm.
Kinsel also remembers finding Guamanian civilians who had been murdered by Japanese soldiers. In February 1945, Kinsel took part of the Battle of Iwo Jima, where he and his regiment landed as reinforcements on D5. He has vivid memories of Iwo Jima, including having to sprint across Matoyama Airfield Number 2 under intense fire. On his 6th day on the island, Kinsel was wounded by falling rock after the Japanese set off a large explosion inside a cave network.
Oh, jeez.
He had to wait on the beach for a day for medical evacuation.
Oh, wow.
But once he was safely on board a Navy hospital ship, a fellow Navajo who worked on board brought him cake and ice cream.
Aw, that's nice. Get some cake and ice cream.
After the war, Kinsel's family at first had difficulty recognizing him.
Oh wow.
But one of the first things they did was arrange a traditional enemy way healing ceremony for him. He found work as an instructional aide at a school in Chinle, a job that again called upon his usual resilience. He often had to walk more than 20 miles to get to work. Kinzel also built a log cabin home for himself and his family, a home that he was still living in as of 2019.
Wow.
He actually passed away last year
Oh
in
wow.
October at 107 years old.
What the heck were you doing, dude? I want to know.
107. He built his own house. He would
You
walk
did.
20 miles to work after he served in the military, where he was shot as he was running across an airfield.
Yeah.
He lived a wild life.
What did you? You lived so long.
Um,
Kudos.
and then moment of silence whenever we're ready. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a couple I didn't want to do too many because I felt like
Yeah. There's
those
a
were
lot
some like major important ones, like
that
Harriet
popped
Tubman
out.
in the Civil War, Deborah Sampson. Because I looked up the first woman who served in the military, and it was like this is the first official woman, but there is Deborah Sampson, and I was like, first official,
Mhm.
but Deborah Sampson, who's that? And I clicked on it, found a story, and I was like,
Yeah.
what?
That's
Straight
funny.
on Mulan did.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely do a moment of silence. I don't know like how many minute wise or just
I can just do a minute,
like sit here quietly and count a minute in your head.
or we could do a timer.
Yeah,
We have
let's do a
cell
timer.
phones.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Mine's up there, so I can't really use mine.
Mine's right here. You know, you can
Is
just
it
ask.
charged?
It's at 55%. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome. All right, so we will do the moment of silence. Starting.
Okay, the
Cool.
minute is up. But yeah,
Figure we would pay our respect to the moment of silence for the ones that have fallen.
yeah,
You know, trust me, we don't forget. Every time I see somebody in a veteran hat or whatever, I think more people. I think schools should teach better on our history of what's actually happened. You know, that we were talking about movies, and there's a few shows. I know I've brought up Turn Washington Spies.
hmm,
You know, before that's a great show. It is about the Revolutionary
yeah,
period, and it's really good. Outlander's another one because not only was the revolutionary thing, it was going on, but they would fight the English would fight the Scots,
yeah,
and Battle of Culloden is the
yeah,
name of it. And there's no joke, my understanding, and from what I've seen, not just from the show, there is a stone that sits. There's no names, no
mm,
nothing, but there's a stone that they have where the battle took place. But when you watch the show, there's Clan Fraser, Clan McDougal.
yeah,
There's all those clans, but it's like we have, not just remember the Americans who fought. You also got to
Yeah.
remember who they fought against as well. So there's like a lot of different movies, yes, a
You
lot of different
know
shows.
what's really sad
Mm,
is, do you know Europeans know more about our wars that we fought than our own people know about?
I'm not surprised at all.
Just the fact that we have to, when you're discussing the Civil War,
Hmm.
right? Which was about slaves' rights. That's what it was about. The right to own slaves.
Mm,
The fact that a lot of people are like, "Oh no, the Civil War wasn't about that." Hold on now.
yeah.
Hold on. That's exactly what the Civil War was about.
Hmm.
The fact that we don't know our own history. We know the Revolutionary War happened.
That's all we know about it.
We know
It's
we know all that happened. We don't discuss anything of major substance. You don't learn about the World War II, what happened in, like, not just what happened over there, but what was happening here, the internment camps, the Trail of Tears. You don't learn that. And for me, we have to learn those things so we can prevent them from happening again.
hmm
And if you keep that hidden and you keep those memories in the dark, you don't just keep history in the dark, you keep the people who were there
hmm
in the dark too.
hmm hmm Right. No, I agree. I definitely agree. It's. I kind of feel like our podcast turns into a history channel.
You know what? I hate to do that.
No, it's not. Don't hate to do it. It's actually fun because we're talking about history. We're talking
Yeah.
about things that happened, and it's just I'm like laughing because I'm like, we're turning into the history channel here.
We'll discuss something and it'll be like, okay, here's the history of what's going, like, next week's podcast is on the Blackout River, right?
Uh,
It was during World War One. So we're gonna actually talk about some of the things that were happening in Europe at the time,
yeah,
which made it perfect for him to be able to,
I learn a lot.
which
I
I
hope
hope
you
you do.
do,
I
because
hope.
that's. I mean, part of this is to be somewhat of a fun podcast as
Yeah.
well. But at the same time, it's to give you that little tidbit of history.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
to give you fun comebacks.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like if somebody ever tells you I'm an alpha, just tell them. Is that a furry thing?
Do you wear an outfit? Do you have a horse head? Because I mean, if you're an alpha, you better be wearing that horse head.
Ex-
Just
ex-
saying.
exactly.
What happened? Nothing.
And for us to
Sweet. Stay
understand
tuned.
others, I think
Information that you'll understand. Oh yeah.
I think when we, like, discuss things, we, like, for example, the axe murder of New Orleans, the jazz killer, right?
I don't know why. Love the story.
When we discussed it, the fact that, I don't think you knew this, but Italian immigrants were awful. They hated them.
Yeah.
It was there were so many crimes against Italian immigrants because, and I hate to say this, it's because they were not white enough. They were Italians. So
Excuse them for not being
it
white enough.
it was the same thing with the Irish.
It's right. You better just drop the Irish right now.
Well, no, because what?
I
There
know.
was a sign that said "No Irish allowed." That was a common thing back in the day. No Irish, no Italians, no Mexicans.
That's just rude.
Very rude. As somebody who's Irish and Mexican.
I ain't Mexican, but I sure as hell have some Irish. I am white enough. You want to see my legs? I could sure as hell show you in the sunlight. And I don't sparkle. You will need sunglasses.
E- exactly. So, like, like, learning that history, that Italian immigrants
Yeah.
were despised. And so he was specifically targeting a minority group when he was doing these killings, right?
Hmm.
Learning that history, learning the history of the Spanish flu. Like, Spanish flu's going on while he's killing, and he's like, everybody party.
This is what we should do.
And then literally, I think it was a month later, there was a giant outbreak of the Spanish flu. It like surged a month after they had those parties, and a bunch of people died.
And then this is what you do to him. Sorry.
But like,
I think we got this stupid thing from like Dollar Tree or
and
whatever.
we use
But
it
it
so
is
much.
it's
We have
just so
already
much fun.
discussed that when we're doing a case that's like nothing but a train wreck, that is what we are doing.
This is going to be the train wreck.
Yeah, that'll sound right. So like,
He's a fun little noisemaker.
but like learning that history, learning the history of like the college, like Katie Hawalka, which by the way, guys, heads up,
Oh yes.
his parole got denied. The Katie Hawalka murder, because it happened again in April 26th. The Katie Hawalka murder paroles got denied, but his new parole dates have changed, so it is not every 24 months. So it is no longer every 2 years that he goes on parole. It is now every 18 months.
Yeah, you told me.
So a year and a half, they now have to go
Sorry.
through the process of
Mhm.
trying to get him to stay in prison,
Yeah.
which is, if you ask me, wrong.
Angela said that we are just raw. Need some little baking. We need a little bit of baking. Oh, I mean, we could do a podcast where baking and talking about stuff.
I mean, I could.
It should be the baking podcast, but then
That's a lot of work. And then who's going to eat all the food?
take it to work. We got hungry people at work.
Yeah, that's true.
Just throw it in the break room.
Please take, yeah.
Don't eat it. See, she likes that idea. It and Thomas.
Um,
Pick me.
well, I like learning that history is important. Learning the Spanish flu history, the Katie Hawalka, learning that Katie Hawalka's case is one of the cases where we now have colleges that have to put their statistics on sexual assault and crimes that happen on their campus.
Yep.
Like, and I know it's weird to say, but like all of these true crime cases that we touch on and we discuss, they tie into history. And it's important to,
History. You know, we should have just. This should be. I mean, it'll be A&M podcast. But you know, at some point, I probably will change the name. It'll still be A&M. A&M history. Forget the podcast. A&M history.
yeah.
For the simple fact. So, heads up. Next week, you might see a name change
Yeah.
because
Cause like I already have a couple of cases that I have lined up for next like Black History Month, right? Where I want to discuss the
When
Emmett
is Black
Till
History Month?
case,
When is Black History Month?
February.
Okay.
Where I want to discuss Emmett Till. I want to discuss another case where everyone on the police, almost all the people on the police were a part of the Klan. They were part of the Ku Klux Klan, and they did some horrendous stuff. And it wasn't until 2016 where the case got solved, and it happened in the 80s and the 90s.
Thank you,
Like,
80s, for having me be born at this time that this all happens.
so like
Much
there's a
appreciated.
bunch of cases I want to discuss that have like a lot of historical. I think I want to change one of the cases that we do in, is it June Pride Month? No, July's Pride Month. I think. I think
Well,
it's July.
Disneyland's already doing their Pride tickets and
Yeah,
stuff
they've
like
already
that.
started selling. That's why I think it's in June. But I want to do the history of, talk about like Stonewall. Like talk about like how like we have Pride Month now, and talk about that history, cuz that's an important history. But I also want to talk about a couple of cases where a terrible thing occurred
Hmm.
to, like, what is his name? I think it's Matthew something. It's a horrible case,
Mm,
but it shows
mm.
the history and it connects to the history. And that's what I love about doing this podcast, is because I get to talk about history and not just true crime cases.
Hence, A&M history
Yeah.
is going to be the new name. So now I got to come up with new pictures.
Oh,
That's
no.
okay. They're going to be really cool. You guys have liked the ones that I've done so far.
See, I do all
Give me
the
time.
she does the
I
creative
do the
stuff.
designing and creative side. She does all yappy,
I do the
the
like
historical research.
I this today I did not do this episode until this morning because I could not find any energy to Matthew Shepard, exactly. Thank you, Matthew Shepard.
And picture
Um,
just black and white. God.
but I want to talk about like, uh, just like the history of it is important. Like
Yeah.
even these cases, what the Bayou Strangler? What did we talk about? What did we talk about?
I know too much. Laugh out loud.
What did we talk about? We talked about how the police did not want to reveal that he was killing young gay black men.
Yep.
Why? Well, people would think he's doing a service to the community because everyone was homophobic in the area.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, they're just getting rid of trash. Which, by the way, that quote still pisses me off.
Yes.
You go to the trash can,
Yeah.
taking out the trash, my butt.
Fucker. Oh, I'm sorry, that slipped.
So, but
You're a
like,
piece of work.
I think history is important, and I love history.
I have t-shirt ideas.
You have T-shirt
That
ideas?
just happened. One, it says you're a piece of work. When it's one of them good cases that they're a piece of work. Then I have a t-shirt for her. It says, I hate to say this.
I hate to say this, but I
That's
have
her,
to.
her favorite phrase. I hate to say this, but I have to.
Because
I will buy them all. I will. I'm tempted. I'm very tempted to make T-shirts
that just say,
that say that. And then we got to do the one where he has no feet. Take his
oh
shoes
yes,
and the wheels.
take the wheels.
And then people are like, well, what is the T-shirt about? Here, QR
What?
code.
Get to the
Nope.
end.
QR code
in
on the back of our shirt saying, watch this podcast and you'll understand why we made this T-shirt.
Oh my god.
Like, add a QR code to all the shirts. That way they follow. They'll follow A&M history. I'm going to change it to today. I'm
Yeah,
changing
because
it
I
today.
think because I always do a historical aspect in all of my
Uh-huh.
cases, don't I?
It's not a podcast. It's history. I'm
I
all
just
about wearing
realized that.
graphic shirts that would piss someone off. Yes, that's the whole point. Let's piss them
Yeah, we should do that. We should do Katie Hawalka's killer
off.
shouldn't be on parole.
Yeah, parole, no go. No
He should stay in prison. Or
parole. You stay in the hole.
what was it? No, what did we say about the college? The college who was like she didn't suffer, she was unconscious. What did we say?
We're gonna have to go back and watch that podcast again because I forgot what we said.
Because I think that just hit us because I remember she was
I
like
have a T-shirt for that too. I'm sorry, it's right there.
what is
It's stick figures. It's stick figures walking up to a girl. Ooh, she died, right?
uh-huh.
Remember, right? Okay, that's dead, and they're poking her with their stick. She laid there unconscious. I'm sorry. You shouldn't make fun
You
of
know
people
what?
like
We
that.
should also have a photo of somebody standing there and then getting hit immediately by a train because it's coming out of left field.
Yep.
No train tracks,
No
just
trade tracks.
because there's a lot of because I remember you were saying you were like getting like in the beginning of the Katie Hawalka case, you were getting a little tired. You were getting a little sleepy. And then all of a sudden I was like, and then the college said this, and you were like, hold on a
I'm
minute.
awake. What they say? What was that?
Rewind that.
What were the words that just came out of your
Press
mouth?
the rewind button.
We need to find another. We need to go on TikTok, see if they have something like this or Amazon.
You know what? We need to do a shirt that says hit the rewind button, please.
And we will wear that. Hit the. I'll wear it. Hit the rewind button. What was that?
Press the rewind button. Rewind that.
And you know what's funny is I want to get it to where our little emojis
You know what I thought
on
about
our
getting
shirts,
recently?
and then having it to where it's our full emoji body,
Mm-hmm.
and then and a rewind button.
You know what I thought about getting recently? The better microphones.
Kind of like Justin's.
Like ones that sit here and stand that have
Yeah,
like
so
the
we're not
hearing
sitting here
back.
like this and my arms going numb and all tingly. That'd be great.
We grab the microphone violently and just why?
We should.
They have
Why
sets
not?
on TikTok.
Let's upgrade our equipment.
Let's upgrade our equipment
It's
and
like we're
just
not making no money from this. Let's upgrade our equipment.
let's upgrade it. Let's
Which we have 15 subscribers, by the way, on the no, can't say podcast no more because that's no longer.
on
No, that's done. It died.
no, technically we're still a podcast, but we're a history podcast now.
Should we say A&M historical podcast? Or is
No,
that too
just
much of a
A&M
no?
history.
Okay, that
We're
works.
still a
Do you
podcast,
see
but we
how she
talk about
does
history.
this? She's like, no.
No,
Oh,
no, I'm gonna be planning from now on.
wrong one. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that one. I meant to do this one. That's a long screen.
That is a long screen. That is like a longer screen than needed. Yeah, I would love $1 million. That would fix everything.
She wants $1 million. Dude, you know what we could do with $1 million? We'd have
Oh
our
my
own building
god.
for a podcast. It'd be fun.
We would probably kick Justin out of I would kick Justin out of the room your office and we'd have a whole entire room.
We would. We would.
We'd have a couch that's like comfortable to sit on.
Yes.
That's not covered in dog hair.
Have a coffee station in there.
Yeah.
Some snacks.
Make some like actual
a
coffee.
refrigerator.
Yeah. If like have snacks and like
Our pajamas.
yeah. Be
Scratch our
completely
belly
comfortable.
like men's. Just we can't adjust ourselves except for up top.
Do something along those lines. But yeah.
Never know what's coming out of my mouth, folks.
We
just
never
so
know
you
what
know.
is I don't know what's coming out of my mouth sometimes. I write the scripts and sometimes I go, I need to add this. I read this and I need to add this because this is an important thing
Yes. Hear me out. PJs.
with A&M all over them.
Oh, oh, that's a great idea.
That would be actually really fire.
I wonder where you could go and get that done.
They have websites for it.
Ink. T-shirt idea. We never know what's going to come out of my mouth. That, God, is that true? And then have my face on the front of it just yelling out God knows what with profanity.
Or my face with the paper in front of
Yes. Ideas. See, this is why, okay, so like I say, my sister, we were talking about doing a cafe, right?
me.
And she asked me, she goes, do you want to be a part of the money? I'm like, nope. I want nothing to do with that. She goes, what do you want to do? I'm like, designing and planning. That's it. That's all I want. If I have a cafe, I'm gonna turn the light on because it's a little dark.
It's dark. No, you're gonna turn on the big light. Not the big light.
Big light.
The big light is so bright.
It's fun
Also, if
rewatching
you see
ourselves
this,
as this is going.
if you see this bruise, I am sorry about this bruise. If you go to Walmart,
Not the big light.
if you go to Walmart, you'll see those like end cap walls with the things sticking out of them with the clothes on them. I ran straight into it.
Yeah, she just can't walk right.
I
We'll
think
make those
things are
t-shirts too.
farther than I think things are farther than they actually are. Not the big light.
With the picture of the
We're
sun.
not gonna
left
talk
by
about
left.
bruises right now. I know. And the only reason I pointed it out is because it's like right here. It's like visible on camera.
That's too funny. Yeah, so we got look at that. We have a lot of see, I need my notebook. I gotta write this stuff down.
You forget. So do I. I forget too. I forget too many things. I have too much knowledge in my brain.
The P. If y'all wanted to know that. Okay, see, I decorated my notebook, multi-purpose. It is moving list, God, YouTube ideas, cafe ideas, and vacation ideas.
Also, if you guys tell friends, tell family to follow us,
Yes.
so we could go to live on our channel.
Yeah, because we're still. I mean, we're at 15. We have to be at 50 to be able to.
We're working our butts off.
Oh, there. Oh, look at that. Look at the page.
Yeah,
What the frick? What the
it's time. It's meant to be.
I'm feeling the coffee's gonna
Too
hit
many.
bottom
Yeah,
soon.
moving causes so many bruises.
No, not moving. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I think he's done with moving.
Yeah.
He's ready to move. Okay. Popular places visited, pricing the hotels in the area. Oh, these are travel videos.
Okay, so
So we're gonna go to now
clothes ideas.
A&M history. say this. It's because it's there and it might happen.
You know what? I applaud you for taking your time. When me and Justin moved out of our apartment, we got everything out
About
before noon one day.
yeah,
In one day.
yeah.
We just well, he wouldn't let me move
PJs.
with A&M, but with A&M so you don't forget. Because you'll just say, why do we need PJs?
I probably would. She's not wrong. I gotta take my glasses off. Do you notice? Have you all noticed that when I'm looking at something, I look at the bottom, out the bottom of my glasses, or I do this?
That's because your prescription's probably off and you need to replace your prescriptions.
Yep. Let everybody else get their stuff first, and then I go last. See, that's what moms do. Okay.
Michelle, no.
Yep.
Michelle.
That's what happens.
Michelle.
T-shirt with don't know what
Oh no.
will come out
Yeah, you've been there for 10 years. That's gonna hurt.
of
We were there for like
mouth.
we didn't even have a couch. We were using my twin bed as a
What is she
couch.
saying? See, and then I have to put them back on because I can't see what the hell y'all are saying.
Why don't you just
It's a 3-bedroom house. I'm moving to a 2-bedroom apartment, so not coming. But by the way, been in that. Oh wow.
that's yeah.
Yep. Moms always put themselves last. Thank you, Angela. Hey,
Eh.
here we go. What else was there besides that? With
I don't know what's coming out of my
mouth.
mouth. A train hitting somebody comes out of left field.
A train hitting a stick figure.
What was the other one? Oh, hit the rewind button
No shoes or wheels.
for you.
We have to I have to go back and watch that because I forgot why we said no shoes and wheels.
Because he was riding around in a wheelchair looking down at his feet because he couldn't look at people in the eye for his crimes.
Oh, that's right.
Coward.
And then what was the other one? What did you say?
Hit the rewind button.
Oh.
You should also just make a t-shirt that says coward. I do tend to say coward a lot.
You do. Not reward button, you dumbass.
Rewind.
There, I
Ooh,
fixed it.
above your big toe. No. Bruises on the foot are the worst.
I've broken my pinky toe twice.
How have you broken your pinky toe? Please don't tell me you hit something.
I kicked a fireplace. I was working with a person with disability, and he was playing hide and seek, and he'd come around the corner and go boo. And so I thought I would get up, run over to the door.
A judgy face saying coward.
I went to get up and come out of the desk, and it was this foot, and I didn't have my shoes on because I had my feet were sore. And I come up, and right when I come up, I went wham, and I was like, shit, that hurt. So I couldn't scare him because we were trying to play peekaboo. Mind you, the man is almost 50, 60 years old. Okay, he was one of my favorite people I attended to. Yes, I broke it twice. I could still move it, but it was black and blue.
I can't say I can judge you. I one time kicked a door so
One
hard.
time at band camp.
One time I kicked a door so hard that I literally cut open between my toes.
Ow.
And I had to work for like 10 days straight after, immediately after well, here's another thing. I did it and I was vacuuming at the time. I proceeded to finish vacuuming and was going to start mopping and cleaning the living room and the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked behind me and I went, why is there blood on the floor? I had accidentally been drinking blood with me.
Oh my god.
I was bleeding heavily and I didn't realize it. I just thought it kind of hurt.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of another one.
Hmm. Ooh, yeah, foot so swollen. Yeah, I worked in a kitchen at that time, so we had to wear like the really like strict like non-slip shoes.
Oh wow.
But if you were in the dish room, that didn't help you
Tattoo
at
on
all.
top of foot. Worked overnights at Walmart 2 days later. It was so. Oh, yep. Nope. I can't do tattoos on my feet because my feet are too sensitive. That's not. No, can't do that.
Mm,
All right, so we have new name will be A&M History.
yeah.
You know, still a podcast, but A&M History. We have PJs with A&M all over it. Then we have T-shirts with "Don't know what will come out of my mouth." A train hitting a stick figure. That one just cracks me up. No shoes
With the title comes out of left. It's coming out of left field.
coming out of left field. Okay. One T-shirt says "No shoes or wheelchair or wheels." Hit the rewind button, coward. A&M History promotion T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Edgar Allan Poe T-shirts.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is by going onto Snapchat, and if they were to release an emoji that you could do yourself as Edgar Allan Poe, that'd be so cool.
Well, you know what we should also do?
What?
I don't know what it is about New Orleans, but I just love it.
You ain't the only one.
No, that should be a T-shirt. Because the amount of times you've said, I don't know what it is about New Orleans,
I
but I
know.
love it.
I love it. I Yes, we're gonna write that one down too. Okay, hold on. I have to move that off again. See,
Also, excuse me?
don't know what it is about New Orleans. Oh, that's a good word. There we go. But I love it.
And just so you know, the Blackout Ripper, it's gonna be gruesome. It's gonna be swinging right back into. It's gonna be in London, I think.
See, I like London too, but
Where
New Orleans, just something about New Orleans that gives you that.
that should also be another T-shirt. There's just something about New
There's just
Orleans
something about New Orleans that I
with that specific hand gesture.
can't
Mamma
put my
mia!
finger on it. But just and then have the state of New Orleans like it is.
Excuse me?
If we happen to go through custom ink, boy, you gotta make money.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what was the other one? No, I already have don't know what it is about New Orleans, but I love it. There's just something about New
There's
Orleans.
just something about New Orleans. I can't put my
I
finger
can't
on
put my
it.
finger on it, and then have a finger like away from the state.
Oh
Like,
my god. Oh. I gotta tell my family about this podcast. My grandparents and my uncle and my aunts don't know about this podcast. Granted, they would probably tell my mom.
me, it's the only way we should be able to see you. Sorry.
Oh, oh, oh. I'm crying. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time.
Oh, I came up with a T-shirt for Rob. Hang on,
Is it? Does it have his face on it?
I put my finger on it. Yeah, but here's the T-shirt. This isn't me. He does not allocate, right? So I was telling another team lead. They go, should make a T-shirt, and it says, it would be nice. Because when we let Rob say, Rob, this looks really nice. And he goes, it would make it look nicer with my face on it, right? Except the T-shirt would have his face on it, and it would actually sit there and say, it would be nice if Rob located.
That would kill Rob. Rob would love it.
And then on the back of it said, along with getting the schedules right, updating the
Oh
schedules.
my god.
You shouldn't punch me in the arm. Oh wow.
Um,
Ooh, you two, get a room.
um,
What else can we say? I think T-shirts would be so much fun.
I think
I
T-shirts
would
would
I
be
would
so much
send it
fun.
to I would send it to my brother,
We could do
sister,
a
and them.
raffle. The first person to comment something, a fun fact that they heard in every single video in the comments section,
Aside from YouTube, because you'll get one
yeah,
anyway, so
you'll
you
get
don't
one
count.
anyway. But like anyone who's watching the videos on the
Thomas,
channel,
that's not nice. When women hurt themselves, you push that, honey, are you okay? and then slap. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Don't slap it. But you shouldn't punch me in the arm. Laugh out loud. I hurt myself. He just laughed. Which room we both have? One at least. Pick one. Could be the bat. No, don't pick the bathroom. She punched my arm. Then that's where you turn around and you smack it, Angela. Because you hurt yourself because you punched his arm, and then it probably hurt him, so you slap his arm again to make it hurt worse.
Exactly. La la
Yeah,
la
I
la.
think I would give my family t-shirts.
But yeah, we should start trying to get people to follow us on the channel.
Yeah, because we really do need that. We can, and I'll go on Facebook today too and just post and on our if you watched our TikTok, I still want to see if they have the voice thing on here, or you could change the
Do you
sound of
know
your voice.
those
Change
the
it
new the podcast things I was looking at on TikTok? They have one where you can do that with your voice. They have like auto tunes that you can mess with your voice.
on TikTok.
On the if you go through TikTok, they have
Yeah,
like double microphones that you can get that literally have like earbuds where you can connect to it so you can hear the other person better.
yeah.
Where you can hear everything better. It connects to something and literally you can hear you have auto tune that you can mess with it. And some of them have sound
So like
effects.
on our earbuds, we hear each other normally, but they're gonna hear.
Well, it would project. Yeah, on the mics. Like you can like on the mics you can change. They also have some of them have sound effects.
Dude, where do we go to get these besides Amazon? TikTok.
TikTok.
Send it to me.
It's all over my feed because I went looking for them. I was like, you know what? We should upgrade our
Hi, honey.
systems.
Come on, baby.
That way
Come
we're
on.
not worried about charging our stuff every 5.
Josh, yeah. Hi, bubbies. We got Mulan down here on the floor. Come on, Mama. Come on, Moo. Come on. What? Come on. Come here.
But yeah, so
Why are you making the face like someone farted?
I'm gonna have to change your thing because I would like to do Stonewall.
Okay. I mean, you got the calendar.
Yeah, we're gonna change one.
Some have a soundboard. That's what I want to get.
Yeah.
That's why I have a feeling this podcast is going to get us the stuff that we need before I even do it on my own. The live that I normally do, which coming up. So I might do a live Wednesday because I didn't do it Sunday. Because I was off Saturday. I went to wineries with my best friend and a few other people, which was fun, by the way, and not that expensive. Most that you're gonna need is about $100 because every place is different.
Mm-hmm.
So like Sonorita is one place that we went to, and it was $10 because we brought our own glass. Some places, if you take your own glass, it is cheaper. And then we went to. Oh,
You know, one of these days we should go on a travel. We should go on an adventure.
in
We
our
should.
favorite rocket ship.
Oh my god. We should. We should go on an adventure and do a live. Like we could go to like Tombstone
We
and
could do
do a
that.
case on like Doc Holiday.
The Birdcage Theater.
We could do a case on the Birdcage Theater and do it out in Tombstone.
We could do that
Have it outside,
because it's like an
nature.
hour drive to get there.
Justin would have to be sitting there.
No, why does he have to go? Well, that sounded so mean. What?
You know what? Justin should go with us. No, because he's not gonna want to go to
He's not gonna
Tombstone
want to go to Tombstone.
because he doesn't like history.
It's our pod.
Do you know one of the things
It's our A&M history.
I told him that I wanted to go to Boston, and he goes, "Yeah, you want to go for the museums and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, of course I want to go to the museums."
You know what? We'll go to the museums.
We'll go to the museums.
We'll leave him at the hotel.
Yeah, he
Him
can
and
stay
Dad
at
can
home.
both get lost.
We can go to Salem, Massachusetts.
We'll build our
own broom and
yes.
grimoire. We'll do
Thank
that.
you. And then we're gonna find Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, we're gonna go to. We're gonna do all of this stuff.
Why does he have to go? Zooming through the sky. Ah, and you caught it. Yes. Little Einstein. Climb aboard. We're ready to explore.
Do you know now what's playing in my head repeatedly? Baby Shark.
I was not even singing Baby Shark.
That's because those two songs are so intertwined in my brain. Because I would sing that song to get rid of Baby Shark when I would.
Demi Lovato's song. Sorry, not sorry.
When I was a cake decorator,
No.
every weekend, I would have at least 5 or 6 baby shark cakes,
Yeah.
and my brain could not help but sing "Baby Shark" every time I made one of those cakes. So
Now,
I started singing Little Einsteins to break it apart, and
now we're gonna do. This is a song that doesn't end.
oh my god,
Thanks, Thomas.
when I was a young warthog.
Yes. When I was a young warthog. Just Lion King.
Uh, also, can we please talk about Lilo and Stitch?
Never seen it, so I don't know if I want to because I've heard some not.
I have heard some aggravating things.
Yeah, that's one thing we can do is we can also do a
Review.
yeah.
Also, did you hear
Warthog. I got the song stuck in my head now.
that
He cleared the savannah after every meal.
did you hear that Susan Collins, the one who wrote the
Cook
original
Mitch.
Hunger Games, the one who wrote the original Hunger
Yeah.
Games and how she wrote
You busted songbird.
songbirds and snakes, I think,
Yeah.
and they did that newest movie. Well, she released a new one
Yeah.
called something Reaping, which is um Sunrise on the Reaping or Sunset on the Reaping, Sunrise on the Reaping, I think,
Oh,
which is Hey Mitch's story. You learn about
Amateur.
Hey Mitch's capital game.
Thong the thong.
You learn about Hey Mitch's, and apparently she's writing a new one.
Oh wow.
She's writing Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
So I am super excited about that because they're like whenever Susan Collin writes a book, do you know like Warner Brothers immediately starts working on how to make it a movie?
Oh wow.
They don't even hesitate. Like Sunrise on the Reaping, they're already announcing the casting.
I need to finish my book. I need 130 more pages. I have to I will have to tell you all about my book one day.
I need to do
That
dishes.
is that is 30 pages long and I'm missing 170 pages. I said that wrong. 170 pages. Yeah. So
I need
dun,
to
dun, 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 dun.
I need to do dishes, and then I need to start writing on the
I
Blackout
got
River
a
because this is
lovely
gonna
bunch of
be.
coconuts. Dee, dee, dee. There they are standing in a row.
Is it almost 9 o'clock? Because you guys have your
No,
little show that you like to
no,
watch.
not yet. 7:22.
Have you started watching um the Last of Us
No.
season 2?
No, because I've kind of seen some spoilers and I know I'm not gonna like it, so I really don't feel like I want to watch it because I'm probably gonna cry.
It's okay.
Die, no spoilers.
You have to come to terms with it.
Yeah, I know. I will end up watching it probably on one of my days off. So
Also,
if I
do you
do
know
a
what
live,
this Wednesday is?
if I do a live and I watch it on a Saturday, The Last of Us, and I do a live on Sunday or watch it on Sunday when I get home before our live or whatever, or I'm at work watching it and I'm on there, my eyes are red. You'll know why.
I know there's not. I
There aren't
I was watching
spoilers
season
in
1
this
and TikTok
Wednesday.
spoiled what happened in season 2.
Never played the game.
No, on it's not Wednesday. It's on Tuesday. What happens is Tuesday.
Handmaid's Tale.
Last episode.
I'm excited. I
I
want to
am
see what kind of shit's
excited.
gonna hit the fan.
I want to see how she destroys Gilead. No,
Tacos.
not
Ooh,
tacos.
tacos do sound good to watch Handmaid's Tale.
Ooh,
We have some taco shells, but not a lot.
yeah. We have the chicken taco meat.
What?
We have the chicken taco meat.
Ooh, we should do that. Taco Tuesday watching the.
Handmaid's
So
Tale.
this one does not watch Handmaid's Tale, and it's understanding why. I understand why. It's a whole thing. But she was in there last week in the room with me watching the most recent episode, and I'm on the bed going, "What the hell is happening?
I
Why
got
aren't you guys
spoiled.
doing anything? Why? Get over there, do something!" I'm all yelling at the TV. She's laughing at me. I go, "This is how I get with TV shows, by the way."
And then I'm sitting there because I know everything that happened because I got spoiled for it. Hence why I was able to watch it. And I was like, I gotta watch this all together.
I cried. I did cry because
I cried too.
there were some sad parts.
I knew it was coming and I still cried.
Yep. Well,
Um,
the other person I didn't really cry over because he's a douchebag asswipe.
That is true. He is.
He deserved it.
Um, I will say I am excited about this upcoming episode.
So all I have to say is they better knock it out of the park
It
because
better
I
be a
get
good
tired.
ending.
I get tired of watching shows to where the ending is not that great. Turn Washington Spies, they could have done a little bit more. That's how I feel about that one. It's a good show. You learn a lot of history in it, okay? Like the things that they do, right? But I think the ending could have been a little bit better. They could have.
Game of Thrones.
We don't discuss Game of Thrones, okay? Just they're
It
just
should have been a better ending. They shouldn't have done her dirty like that. She should have taken the throne and been a good queen. I'm just saying.
my whole issue was Jon Snow.
Yeah, how they just banished him at the end, like, go into your little world.
You can't leave. But then he leaves and goes with the wildlings. Makes no sense. No sense.
Exactly. It makes
None.
no sense.
And it's like it's a great show. I loved it.
It was a great show until they ruined it.
Yep. My favorite parts.
You know what show I am really hoping that they also don't mess up?
House of Dragons.
No. The Boys.
Oh, ask John. He watches the boys.
I know, but I'm really worried they're going to mess up the last season.
Because Jared Padalecki,
Hmm.
Jensen Ackles, and I think Misha or
Yeah, they're going to be in the last
Jeffrey
season.
Dean Morgan or somebody. I think the four of them
Hmm.
from Supernatural are supposed to be in the
Yeah.
last season.
And then Bobby, of course, he's there. He's like the president of the United States now.
Yeah, which is
Um,
awesome.
I love that.
Idjit. I thought I'm always waiting for him to say that out loud.
I
Idjit.
think there was one point where I thought he was going to say it, and then he said idiot, and I was like, oh,
Aw.
it doesn't hit the same.
It does not. And right now, John's watching. He's on season 3 now of Supernatural because I made him finish season 2. I was like, nope, keep
I keep
going.
trying to get Justin to watch Supernatural. He's like, I don't want to watch it.
He's
I'm
watched
like,
some of it.
yeah, I
He
know.
hasn't watched all of it. It's really good. It's a great show.
They did that ending dirty, though. That is one
Yes,
of the endings they did dirty.
yes, they did. Because
Most
yeah,
aggravating ending to a TV show
yep,
that I have been following for almost my whole entire life.
yep. They could have done that, but they could have done the ending better on that one. They've also could have done.
I was 3 years old when it started.
Damn.
Or was I? No, I think I was actually 2 because it didn't start. It started in early in the. It started in like August, so I was 2 when it started.
It's a great show. I've told John that it's a good show. Uh, they could have done a different ending for that one. They
Because
could have
they were
done a different ending for Game of Thrones. They could have done a different ending for Turn Washington Spies.
the reason it gets difficult after the 5th season is because technically the show was supposed to end after 5 seasons. So hence why season 5 seems to have a good conclusion.
Hmm.
It has a good ending, but then
You
they were
have all
like
the
it's
fans that are like, I don't think so.
the fans were like that we need more. We want
We
more.
need more. 15
So
seasons. Yes.
CW was like, "Cool, we're going to continue doing it." And then they just continued doing
Yes.
that.
And then there's so many seasons. That's the show that
22 seasons, I think.
no 15 for Supernatural.
Oh
There's only
yeah.
15. Almost 22
22
episodes
episodes per
in each
season.
one, but there's only 15 seasons. Another
I think
show
it's
that I
been on for like
liked.
22 years though.
Oh God, yeah.
It's been on
Another
forever.
show that they could have done differently was Penny Dreadful.
Oh, they could have. Yeah.
I loved Penny Dreadful just for the simple fact the lady that plays in it, who
Hmm.
also plays in the movie with the kids with special abilities, right? I felt that was too short. That's too short of a show that they could
Yeah.
have kept it
They
going.
also did the same thing with Penny Dreadful this season, City of Angels. They ended it way too soon. Cuz like they were just getting to the part where like the
But the
Eve
same woman doesn't play in it though.
no, she doesn't.
See, and
But
that's what sucks.
it's a different story. It's based in LA and it's like it has Nazis in it, which is super cool.
I thought about watching it.
It has Santa Muerte in it, but it has they create something that's supposed to be like her sister.
Oh, okay.
And the sister is the evil entity. And you start seeing the evil entity start influencing
Hmm.
things. And you don't really get to see like Santa Muerte. And that was supposed to be the point is you see her in it, you see her in a different light. And they never really touched on that.
Yeah.
The only time you really see her is when I think a little girl dies. and she takes the little girl and she's like, "Come on, let's go." And she's so kind and motherly. I was like, "That's so
What
sweet."
is the show? Maybe it's the same show to where this woman is made. She dies, but this guy, she worked in a brothel. I'm trying to think of the show. Maybe I don't know if it's Penny Dreadful. I don't think it is.
Where she gets resurrected.
Resurrected, and then she
Yeah,
gets
that is Penny
revenge.
Dreadful.
Okay, so I was gonna say it's the girl that gets she gets her revenge on all the men that pretty much raped her over and over again
Yeah,
because she was in a brothel. That's a good one. Another
yeah,
show that
that's
I liked. I you guys will notice I like dark morbid things just because it's the fascinating. It's not that I am dark and morbid. Sometimes I wonder. It's the fascination of it.
mm.
It's not that I am a dark morbid like I said, not a dark morbid person. It's just the fascination behind it.
I am a dark
Why?
morbid person.
Why? Why is it so dark and morbid? That's what I look at. And with watching most of these freaking shows, like Chucky, I will laugh at Chucky because it's hilarious. Then they
Also,
canceled it because I was watching it
do
at
you know
work.
Chucky is based off of Robert the doll?
Yeah.
That is the funniest thing I've ever
Yep.
heard.
I was watching Chucky at work one day, and one of our bosses, um, it was Carlos. He goes, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Chucky." He goes, "Really? Why?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then I started laughing. He goes, "Are you laughing at him?" I was like, "Well, yeah, you got to hear what he says in the beginning because it's pretty funny."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, but I don't remember him ever being that vulgar in language because I watched him as a kid."
You know what my favorite series is? My favorite movie series?
Mm.
The first 3 original Jurassic Parks. When I was a child, and I mean a child, I think I was like 3, 4 years old. You know how most kids watch Disney movies when they were a child?
Yeah, what about it?
I would watch the trilogies over and over and
Would
over
you
and
really?
over again. That was my number one show. I was if it was not on, I was crying.
See, I liked
And I had to watch them in order.
my favorite shows as a kid. It was Nightmare on Elm Street until my stepmom scared the shit out of me, and now I can't watch him. Became Friday the 13th, Puppet Master, Halloween. Let's see what else was there. Chucky,
Mine was
Hellraiser.
after
Oh, somebody's dreaming.
after that I got really into Fringe, which I don't know if you've seen. Fringe
Nope.
is
Is it the creepy person with the hair in the face?
no,
Oh.
Fringe is a TV series that was on Fox for like 5 seasons.
Mm.
Essentially, it's based off of weird science. And so like one of the most like popular episodes is this guy hands this newspaper
Mhm.
handler a $2 bill. And the guy looks, "Oh, you don't see this every day." And then all of a sudden he starts rubbing his eye. Like he puts the money down, then he starts rubbing his eye. And then he looks in the mirror. 'Cause he's in a stall in New York and he's talking to another patron, and he looks up and you see like the eyelid, this part of the eye just start molding to the other half, and like
Blech.
essentially he loses his eyes, essentially become all skin, like he loses vision. He can't, like, it is the most graphic and gruesome show without a lot of blood. There was one episode where I think she had syphilis and he tried to cure her of syphilis
Mhm.
using something, like she had a really rare strand, and instead he essentially turned her into a monster that drinks men's spinal fluid. And so they had to cure her.
Okay.
So if you want to
Can
know,
I get a straw with that?
no, she would just break their necks and just straight up use their necks like a straw.
Never watching that. Just saying right now.
Their
Never
first
watching it.
episode, they're in a they go into a plane because there's like, it's in the early 2000s, so this is before they had like the normal auto flight,
Yeah.
like auto lands. So the plane, it's like the first plane, it auto lands. They shine a light into the plane because nobody can get a hold of anybody, and there's like handprints all over the mirrors on the inside, and they're like, "That's weird." So they go inside, and everybody is decomposed, and they've been on the plane for only like 3 hours. Turns out somebody made a toxin that literally, like, once it's in a person, airborne, And like air, like once it be like you inject it inside yourself, it then becomes airborne,
Mm.
and then everyone that it comes in contact with decomposes your whole entire body.
Yep,
Like
that
the
sounds right.
first scene is somebody turns around, they go to scream and they open their mouth and their jaw straight up falls off.
Oh, really?
They went, ah.
Sorry, I would have laughed at that. I don't know why. I would have.
It's funny, but it's so morbid.
Yeah, it is very morbid.
Uh,
What's the other one? The TV show Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
Not the old TV show, but the newest one
Yeah,
with
I
Matt
think that.
Damon,
Oh, Wayfair
Matt Dillon,
Pines.
Wayfair Pines. Peaks. Yep.
It was based off of Twin Peaks, like in Beetlejuice, exactly. Except somebody was decomposing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So before we get off here from our funniness for the evening,
Yeah,
we've been on here for about 120 minutes.
we've been goofing off.
Yes, we have. So, uh, the American Legion Auxiliary.
Just say a millie.
I did because I was about to say a million. Because I'm special. Like I said, they gave this to us when we were at Tombstone. And so it's called In Flanders Fields. In
Flanders? As in Simpsons?
No.
Oh.
Can I read this, please? So, In Flanders is a war poem in the form of, well, it's a war poem. It was written during the First World War by a Canadian physician and Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. He was inspired to write it on May 3rd, 1915, after presiding over the funeral of a friend of a fellow soldier, Alexis um, Helmer, who died during the Second Battle. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks still bravely sing. Fly, sacred herd, amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. So it's, so it's pretty much a poem that he wrote for the fallen, which was really nice. On the back says for over 100 years, the American Legion Auxiliary has distributed the memorial poppy to remind Americans that millions sacrificed their lives and health to keep our nation free. During World War I, the poppy flourished on the battlefield of Flanders Field. Among the shelled buildings and the bomb scared landscape. So glad you can't hear all the shit that's going on behind me. Like the blood that was shed there, its brilliant red bloom became a sign of hope and renewal. For those who would never leave, those who had given their lives, it is a perpetual memorial to their bravery. Memorial Poppy contributions are devoted entirely to rehabilitation and assistance for veterans and their families. On behalf of those veterans, thank you for caring. For more information on American Legion's Auxiliary Poppy Program, you can contact your local auxiliary unit or visit www.alaforveterans.org. So I will put that website into the description. So if anybody would like to take a look at that or see that, or want more information on it, we can definitely get that up there for you so you can check it out yourselves. And she's like, no, I was dreaming a minute ago. I'm going to have to move on, probably. So next Monday, it's
The Blackout Ripper.
Ripper.
Which, if he's named a Ripper after, because this happens after Jack the Ripper, he's got to be particularly gruesome. If he's named a Ripper in London after Jack the Ripper.
Ow!
Oh, sorry about that.
Because Jack the Ripper is a nasty dude. And we will get to him later this year.
Till we
And
get to
I gotta
it.
tell you guys, maybe it was Jack the Stripper and
No,
not the Ripper.
it was not.
We are not on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Ah,
We are not
Now-
talking about Chippendales or strippers.
Now, I do have one more thing I could say about Jack the Ripper.
No.
Maybe he was called Jack the Ripper because every time he went to kill, he ripped one.
No.
Where's the fart sound?
No.
Yeah.
God.
Where's the fart sound?
I don't know.
He was called Jack the Ripper because he slit their throat ear to ear.
And sometimes.
And then he
broke
would just slice
Yes,
him down the
I
middle.
know all about
The navel to the ends of the earth.
I wanted to quickly say this from a veteran of the Army. I was in the 8th Battalion, 40th Armor. To all the men and women that fought for this country, who are still with us and who are not with us, God bless you for what you do. Thank you for everything you do. Because this country wouldn't be the country it is without you. And so I salute you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you guys do and gals do. Thank you so much.
Nicely said.
Nicely said.
Awesome possum.
All right.
All right, guys, we will see you next Monday, starting off the month of June
With the Black
with the
Out Ripper.
We'll see if we can find some music. Find some music to do that with.
We'll see if we can find some music
Something.
to cover this case.
Some something.
Because it's a wild one.
Yes, sir. See you tomorrow, Mr. Thomas and
See
Miss
you
Angie.
tomorrow. Not
Love
tomorrow.
you guys.
Bye.
See you next Monday. Bye. Have a good night. You should put my finger over the camera. God.
That'd be good.
I was.